Thanks for checking out the video. So today we're going to be talking about a lure that not very many people have even heard of, yet alone throw. This is called the Pogo Shad. It was made by Mann lures in the, I think, the late 90s and early 2000s. It looks very similar to a rattle trap, but you can see it has a tail on the back of it. They made this thing in a whole bunch of colors, as you can see in this box. This is only some of the colors, and they made it in two sizes. The first size is what they would call the medium size. It's 3/8 ounce, comparable to a regular sized rattle trap. The second size is the smaller 1/4 ounce. All right, what does this thing do different than a standard rattle trap doesn't do, or other lipless crankbait? Well, this tail on here makes it kick a little bit harder whenever it comes through the water, and it tends to swim like this in the water, and it swims higher because the tail back there catches resistance on the water, and it has a little bit wider wobble. It's still got a good rattle in it, very similar to a rattle trap. That's the sound. Even the little fella's got a decent little rattle in it. Not as loud as the big one, but still gets the job done. And this little fella's a 1/4 ounce, and it still swims kind of like this in the water, but it acts more like a wake bait instead of a lipless crankbait that runs shallow. And you've probably noticed, whereas a rattle trap has 2 hooks on it, these Pogo Shads have 1 hook, just 1 hook under the bottom. And at first you might think that that is going to be a bad thing, and going to decrease your hookups with fish. This is not really the case, because whenever they hit this bait, they tend to swallow it. If they're bigger than 14 or 15 inches, usually when they hit this bait, it's all the way in their mouth. So not having that second hook there actually doesn't even matter. But if you were someone who just wanted that other hook, and you knew you were not going to be in areas that had a lot of snags, they did make a model that had a second hook hanger, and you could put like a stinger hook on the back of it. But like I say, it's not necessary, because it will actually get tangled up on the tail sometimes, and it will affect the way it swims. So in my opinion, the second hook, you don't need it. Now I'm going to cut over to a fish catch that I had with this one the other day, the same exact color. I was fishing around some cypress trees in the middle of the swamp lake, and I was using this thing kind of like you would use a square bill. I was deflecting it off stuff, and I've changed out this hook here from a longer shanked hook to a shorter shanked Gamakatsu. And whenever you reel this thing through the water and it starts deflecting off of limbs and sticks, this hook actually is kind of hidden back there, and it's not as apt to get hung up. Whereas if you used a larger hook, like on this guy, it's going to get hung up more often. So let's look at that fish catch, and we'll see what I'm talking about here. Using the orange crawl colored Pogo Shad, gonna see what we can do. I'm thinking it's gonna imitate a crawfish. I'm gonna try to knock it around some of these trees and sticks. Looks like it, didn't he? On the pogo. On the pogo. Baby. On the pogo. Yes, sir. Look at that. Oh my goodness. On the Pogo Shad. All right, that water where I caught that fish was only about 3 or 4 feet, and it's early March, so I believe that fish was spawning or either about to spawn. And normally you wouldn't throw a rattle trap in those situations. You'd have to burn it right across its nose, and I don't think that fish ever would have seen that bait. But with this Pogo Shad, this tail back here makes it go a little bit slower. It's got that single hook on it, so it's not as apt to get hung up. And this is a bait not a lot of people throw, because not a lot of people even know that it exists. And I'm really surprised they never made more imitations of this thing, because it really is dynamite in areas where you know, people are throwing square bills and you can't really throw a lipless crankbait. You can throw this guy and it'll get bit too. One recommendation I will make as soon as you buy one of these, if you buy one of these, you need to change out all of the components with it. I don't know who makes these split rings and these treble hooks, but they're not very good. The split rings have a copper color to them almost. And these treble hooks, they're a very long shanked treble hook, and you can see the point kind of bends in. It's very old school. But make sure you change out the components. The price on these guys have jumped up in the last several years. You used to be able to get them on eBay for about $5 to $6 a piece, and in recent years, a single lure is going for between $20 and $30. They're still available. You just have to see what's out there at the time that you're searching, and just keep searching, and you'll eventually find the color that you want. And you could actually buy these, strip the color off of them, and repaint them however you wanted them. Dynamite little lure. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. You'll check out the Pogo Shad, because they really do work. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And let me know if you've ever seen this Pogo Shad, if you've thrown it, if you've never heard of it, and are you going to check any of them out?